So Israel's a cool story. So same partner as Costa Rica, Niv Ben Yehuda. And, when Niv and I met back in 2010, we were just going to do Costa Rica. But then Niv has a couple of kids. He has a pair of wonderful twin boys who were in the army, and a daughter that was in the army. Remember, in Israel, all kids coming out of high school have to go in the military. And he's very much a family man. And he is very passionate about wine and thought, Damskey, I found this new area in Israel. There's always obviously the Golan Heights and the Galilee and Judea Hills. Of course, none of these places made any sense to me, and now they're like second home to me. But this is the Negev Desert. And the Negev Desert is halfway between Tel Aviv and the Red Sea. And the Red Sea is the most beautiful sea. It's the most northern sea where you still have coral. Beautifully clear. And Tel Aviv is Tel Aviv. It's like this beautiful, beautiful port on the eastern side. And Israel's a very small country. You can get anywhere in 3 hours. So halfway in between the two is the Negev Desert. The Negev Desert is where Moses got lost for 40 years. Daisy and I aren't quite sure how you get lost for 40 years. The sun rises, the sun sets. Dude, come on, man. But maybe he didn't have a cell phone then. Anyhow, so we teamed up. We're in an area called Mitzpeh Ramon, and the altitude is about 2,600 feet. So it's desert, but it's high desert. It gets hot during the day. In terms of Fahrenheit, maybe 100 degrees. But at nighttime, because of the altitude, it's more like California and gets down to, 50s, lows, 50s, low 60s. So it actually is a good area for certain varieties of grape growing. So Niv and fell in love with this guy who his name's Nana. That's his nickname. His name's Aaron, is his formal name, and had worked for some of the big wineries in Israel, and started this own project of growing grapes in a relatively new area. And Niv fell in love with this area. We are now building a 10,000 case winery there, doing a little bit of custom crush at a winery in the Galilee, and we're growing Cabernet, Petit Verdot for blending with Cabernet. Syrah grows incredibly well. The new ex-bastard variety Chenin Blanc, which I hadn't mentioned how important that is in India. Chenin Blanc I'm so happy to see is making a wonderful comeback. It grows beautifully in warm climates. It makes these stellar wines. Of course, we're growing Chardonnay, not too much Pinot Noir. So those are our focus. And I just have to say a few words about Israel, and it's an amazing country. People are wonderful. Food's amazing. It's Mediterranean, and it's one of my favorite places to go. And I go there a couple times a year. Hired a wonderful gal to be my winemaker there. Obviously, I can't live in Sonoma County and be at all these places, although I travel an incredible amount. So my role is sort of Papa Damskey, now at 66, and I sort of go oversee, and Daisy always wonders what I'm doing at night on my iPhone, and I'm talking to the rest of my people around the world. And so I had this wonderful gal named Donna Benny, who's of course Jewish, has an undergraduate degree in bioengineering, went to University of Florence because her mom's Italian, and she's my winemaker in Israel, and she's making just stellar wines in Israel, and the name of the brand is called Nana.